So here's going to be a review for Agatha All Along, a full series review now that all the episodes are out. But this is going to be a non-spoiler review, so I won't go into any major story spoilers if you haven't seen the show or are interested in watching it. The best way to classify this series is a spin-off to WandaVision, focusing on that series' ultimately main antagonist, Agatha. Like many, I had no idea who the Agatha Harkness was when the character was ultimately revealed towards the end of WandaVision, that she was more than just Wanda's peppy neighbor Agnes. I'm pretty sure less than 1% of even hardcore Marvel fans were aware of the character's history. But it didn't matter because it was such a well-written twist, and the song that went along with it was great, and the character left a nice impression once she ultimately had her time to shine as the villain in the final 2 episodes. Was I immediately thinking after, oh man, I just gotta see a spin-off series of her after? Not quite, but I was game to see what they had next in store, especially given how I absolutely loved WandaVision, and the same twisted minds from that series were doing this one. In fact, the premiere of Agatha gave me a reason to watch WandaVision again before this series premiered. And I still think it's the best of all the Marvel Disney Plus shows. It was just so great in so many ways, so much fun. It was the first of all of these shows, and it really got these shows off to a great start. They couldn't quite live up to that, but man, was WandaVision such a great experience overall. In this show, Agatha, with some outside help, was able to escape the spell that the Scarlet Witch trapped her in at the end of WandaVision, and afterwards she then gathers a coven of witches to travel down the Witch's Road in order to recover her lost power and perhaps something else that's precious to her. But the Witch's Road is anything but easy, as there's plenty of trials and obstacles that Agatha and her coven of witches must survive. This has got to be the most ambitious MCU project ever done. We're talking about a spin-off series about a character that a lot of people essentially know nothing about besides what was shown in WandaVision, which meant that there likely wasn't going to be a whole lot of fanfare or excitement for any story ties that weren't directly linked to the Scarlet Witch or the WandaVision series overall. Much of this show's success, at least for me, was going to hinge on how Agatha worked as a protagonist. It's a lot different going from a fun twist villain to carrying your own show. A lot of Agatha here is her default personality, I guess, that you see at the end of WandaVision, which is, I guess, sassy and narcissistic, with a few moments of deeper character depth here and there as it goes into her backstory. Was it enough to make her fully be able to carry her own show? Sorta yes, sorta no, but that honestly varied episode by episode due to the writing. The actress playing Agatha, Kathryn Hahn, is still great, and you can tell that she's having a whole lot of fun with this role, as she did in WandaVision. The easiest way for me to describe how I felt watching this show is to describe it in segments, again, without giving away any major story spoilers. With your first episode, it was a great unexpected twist on the TV gimmick that made WandaVision so much fun. It catches you off guard, and you're immediately thinking, what the is going on here? But then you realize what's going on and like, oh, that's actually pretty clever, a parody of a type of genre of TV show. I think the nude scene at the end was a bit much, but this episode was a great start. I remember not liking the second episode quite as much, but it did nicely set up the Coven of Witches, and then it was off to the series' main quest, down the Witch's Road. Once the show actually got down to these trials that were on the Witch's Road for the next few episodes, holy shit did it suck. The way this show was written, it was like a Marvel show for your mom that's trying to get into Marvel, as these trials essentially boil down to a bunch of middle-aged ladies having a crazy night out with various shenanigans in a perfume store or a slumber party or a karaoke night parodying like a rock and roll band. And I quickly realized that, oh boy, this show's problem is that it probably isn't for me at this point. I just thought these episodes were flat out bad, where the only things that piqued my interest was Aubrey Plaza just looking fine as hell, but also the moments where members of this coven would die in pretty sad fashion. The first character of this coven got done really dirty, to which I thought, oh man, y'all didn't have to do her like that. That was a pretty sad way to go out. But overall, I found these trial episodes to be pretty yawn-inducing, honestly pretty bad. And I might be in the minority for that because I've yet to read any in-depth reviews. But like I said, these episodes felt like the MCU for your mama that's trying to get into Marvel. The group of witches, the overall coven that she gathers, were okay. But there's so much backstory to keep track of for them that a lot of things just get lost in the shuffle, even for the episodes that do focus on them. Initially, I was really annoyed by Kaplan as he was introduced. He's just that kid that Agatha gets as the series starts. He was just annoyingly wide-eyed, enthusiastic, and flamboyant about everything going on. But quality-wise, the show definitely made a turn for me for the better when more of his backstory got revealed, in the kind of slow, smart reveal type storytelling way that WandaVision did, where things come full circle and you're like, oh, I'm even more hooked about what's going on now. Unfortunately for me, the roller coaster in terms of show quality continued afterwards, with there being 2 episodes consecutively that I didn't really care for much. I love looking at Audrey Plaza in this series, but her character was pretty poorly developed, and her story didn't really become clear to me and make sense until the final episodes. The final episode has got to be the most interesting series finale for a show like this I've ever seen. Most superhero TV shows of this fashion go all in on big action, high stakes build-up, and incorporating all of the season's characters. This finale was not that, but that ended up being okay, as I don't think a typical superhero finale would have suited a show like this. This finale was character-based, most of it was backstory, but it did help me understand Agatha more, and it surprisingly made me curious about what happened next. The show also lived up to what some of the actors were saying about it beforehand, that this would be the gayest of all the Marvel shows. The most prominent thing shown here is teasing some of the past romance story between Agatha and Aubrey Plaza's character. Now those are some tapes that I would love to see. So ultimately, did this show cast a witch's spell on me to where I enjoyed it? Well, if I'm doing the math of the total of 9 episodes that there were 3 episodes that I really did like, and they had a whole lot going for them. The other 6 episodes, though, were a total no, and they couldn't have ended sooner. So that averages out to a hell no overall. I did not like this series. But from what I've heard, I guess I'm in the minority for that opinion. I know people at work that said they've really liked the show. I've seen some review headlines that have called it one of Marvel's best shows. Hey, sometimes you just gotta be honest about how you feel about stuff like this, and overall the series just didn't do it for me. But I will admit that some of the story setups at the end made me curious about the potential second season. I would have predicted that an Agatha spin-off series would be a one-off, but that appears to be not the case with how the final episode ends. So that'll do it for this review of Agatha All Along. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you for watching.
Time to finish the road.
Last one there is a nice person.